Good day and welcome to the Q1 2025 earnings call for Regency Petroleum Company Limited. Regency Petroleum is listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange and have been there since December 2022. Their ticker is RPL on the JSE. Now, today we will be joined by CEO Andrew Williams and CFO Jerry Grant, who will be speaking about discussing the Q1 2025 results and what is there to look forward to for RPL and their shareholders moving forward. I am Renee McDonald, the CEO and Investor Relations Lead for Learn Grow Invest, and I am your moderator for today. So please do join me in welcoming Mr. Andrew Williams, CEO of RPL Limited. Welcome, Andrew.
Hi, Renee, and thanks for having us again. Thanks
Always a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, man, thank you.
All right, so I'll hand over to you to get started.
Okay, thanks, Renee. So we'll start with a word of prayer. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we come to you once more, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to share with our investors. We thank you for what you have done with Regency Petroleum. We thank you for all your blessings and mercies upon the company and each and every one of us, oh Father. We ask as we go through this call today, you'll be with us, guide and protect us all, listening, all our audience, all our investors, oh Father, and bless us all. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay, thanks again to the Learn Grow Invest team for giving us this opportunity to share with you, our investors and the audience, of our results, our Q1 2025 results. And we will begin with our company highlights for this quarter. Our revenue has been up over 7%, 434.13 million. Our gross profit up 71.23. However, we had our operating profit down by 24 million and our net profit down too. Well, not by 24, by our net profit down. Operating profit down 24 million, our net profit down 8.9. We will go further and discuss that later in the call. Our total expenses, however, increased significantly also. 47.52 million, earnings per share 0.011. And our share price went up as of March 31st, 2024. 52%. So it's now at $3. It was at $3.42 at March 31st, 2025. So it went up 52% over 2024. Yes, so we can see we had a challenging quarter, but our financial controller will now move forward into our financial highlights and further explain.
Yes. Good morning to our viewers, investors. Let's look at the summary of our result for the first quarter. Regency achieved 424 million in sales for the period, a 7% improvement over the 404 million earned in 2024. This revenue was largely generated from the company's 3 full service stations and sales of automotive fuel to DW, People's Choice service station. Gross profit increased by 4% from 68.5 million to 71.23 million, but gross margin decreased slightly. Total expenses increased during the period, and that caused a reduction, 32.7% reduction in our profit before tax. And profit after tax also reduced during the period by 55.3%, which resulted in a decrease of 73% in our net operating profit. I must say that a significant increases in our operating expense, total expenses, operating expense over the period has resulted with the decrease in the net profit, and these are due to some, a significant increase in our depreciation charge, which is a non-cash write-off to the P&L due to the significant increase in our asset base, and we have to account for the write-off over a period of years, and we will see these write-off, occurring. Next slide. This is a graphical presentation of the figures that we have just discussed, and we can move to the other slide. Cash and cash equivalent reduced due to our continued investment in our service station. It's moved from 39 million to 12 million, and it showed a 67% reduction as we continue in this phase of investing in our service station. Our asset base, however, increased by 10%, and it's now reflecting a 480 million as at the first quarter. Account receivables also showed an increase, 11%. It's now reflecting 101 million, and this is due to our increased business activity. We'll have increased sales and increased receivables. Our long-term borrowing, basically we have reclassified long-term borrowing during the period. It's now become a short-term because the bond is due for payment during this year, come September. So it's now a current liability, and as such, it's shown reflected in our chart here, a 100% movement. Our accounts payable, 126% increase, and in line with our business activity now, enhanced business activity, we have more station operating, and much more business being generated, so our payables has increased. So this is another graphical representation for those who prefer this format. Our cash flows from operation reduced 73%. It's now 8.9 million compared to the 33, and this would have been reflected in our reduced profit compared to the previous quarter. Cash used by investing activity, a significant portion of that would have been how the account, the lease, how we have account based on the standard, how we have account for the finance lease. And we would have increased amount of finance lease on the books compared to the prior quarter, as we now would have the lease from the Negril service station on the books, and also the lease from the Spanish Town location. So both the cash used by investing activities and cash used by financing activities would have been impacted by the accounting for these leases. Okay, graphical representation for those who prefer. I will now turn over back to Mr. Williams to continue his company outlook.
Okay, Jerry, thanks for that. All right, so with regards to our company's outlook, we have these 3 service stations in operation, and we have seen the first quarter results. The first quarter results, we had to apply a lot of non-cash expenses. So if you notice, our administrative costs went up. So we had to, based on accounting principle and policies, we had to apply a lot of depreciation in particular was applied, because we have more assets, more service stations. We have a lease that we have in place for 2 service stations that will attract this depreciation. So you'll notice, if you go through our financials and our expenses, you will see where these depreciation costs have gone up significantly, which has caused the profit to drop. However, it's just a part of accounting principle. It's not really an item for the layman, wherein the expenses are additional costs that we have to be paying out direct cash. It's not. These expenses are non-cash items that we have to apply according to accounting principle. However, what this shows the company and our management team is that we have to continue with what we are doing and continue to increase as what we are doing, increase our revenues, increase our base, increase our locations, increase our different our overall business in terms of gaining more service stations, which we have been doing, and gaining additional business, so we can absorb these non-cash expenses. So so in regards to our outlook, we recently announced our Jamaica's first truck stop service station. It will be located next to our filling station, our filling plant in Crawford, St. Elizabeth, and we are quite anxious about this, and we are eager to have this service station in operation. The construction has begun, and this is a dealer-owned, dealer-operated service station. However, our revenues will also significantly increase as we supply and franchise this service station. There, we also have another service station which I don't wish to really speak of in much detail now that we are negotiating on, and we are looking forward to be coming to fruition. So we have on the table currently, we have one service station that has begun construction, first truck stop in Jamaica. As I always say, we are a pioneering company, so we always want to be the first to implement many policies, many things within this industry. So this is one of them we're looking forward to. As I said, what we are about currently now for the outlook is to continue to increase our footprint across the island. That's where we are now, especially when we notice where on the financial side, where we have non-cash depreciation, all that. So we have to be accounting for all of these expenses. So how we react to this is to move forward with what we're doing and continue to increase our footprint across the island. And in my opinion, it is we are achieving what we have been setting out to do, because we have another service station on the table now being constructed. We have another one we're looking at very soon, hoping to begin construction by year end or before year end, and you'll hear further about that. And we have other items or investments that we are looking at currently that I've always been mentioning over the past couple of months. So we are coming close now to our final negotiations and final agreements on those, which you will become aware of very soon. So I would say the company, we're focused on what on our targets, which we make clear to our investors as we see necessary, and when we are at the point where we are able to disclose, and we are, as I always say again, we put everything in God's hands, and we allow Him to lead us in all our decisions, because decisions that we make. Because since we have been listed, and I can't say it enough, that we have so much opportunities that will come by our table, and as we grow steadily, the opportunities keep coming. So we need the Lord to be involved in our decision making, so we can make prudent decisions for the company, for the country, for the investors, and for the general public of Jamaica. And I'm quite confident that where we are now, we are steady on that path. So we just need to continue what we are doing now, continue to increase our footprint, which we are doing, and we will have a number of announcements. I will have another announcement or two more announcements by year end for the public with regards to our expansions and growth within the country.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Andrew and Jerry. It is always a pleasure to hear, directly from those leading the company what is going on. So I welcome Jerry back to the platform as well as we get into the Q&A. So I will start off by saying congratulations. It's not always easy to hear that when your performance isn't what you are accustomed to it being, but congratulations, you're still here, you're still going, and you have remained consistent in fulfilling the promises that you made in your prospectus. So that is something to be congratulated on. And though the quarter didn't look how you typically want it to look, or the shareholders have become accustomed to it looking, you have done well. Your revenues have been strong, and you have been going ahead with the acquisitions and making those strategic moves. So congratulations to RPL and the team. So we do have a few questions from the audience, and there are a few things for us to reiterate as well, and they will come out in the questions. So I'll just jump to the questions, and then if there's anything missing, then we'll talk about that as well. So the first question is, are there any considerations for increasing prices to realize more profits, or are you confident that your current margins will be enough?
Are there any considerations for increasing prices? Well, I don't want to delve too much into our strategies, but I'll try to answer the question as best as possible. Okay, so over the past quarter, I can tell you that our margins, our prices have been increased marginally, or in some cases, based on the location, a little more than marginally. And we as a management team, we meet quite often, because this business, based on the industry, it's a very delicate business, and it's very price sensitive, So we meet quite often. When I say quite often, I mean at least once per week, to evaluate our sales in dollars, in liters, or general volumes, and see what aspects and what balancing act we can do for basically whichever location. So we try to balance it out in our margins. It's a whole balancing act. So we meet quite often to do these evaluations. So we have our strategies and record keeping that we go through, and we do evaluations, and we do tests to see what will happen, what changes make, and so it's an ongoing thing. So the ultimate goal is to increase our profitability. So it is not a simple question to answer, wherein yes, we're going to increase our prices so we can get more profits. No, it's a double entry system where you increase prices, volumes will drop. So you have to find that spot where we can balance out the maximum profitability for whichever location. So I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you for that. I think it's clear and understandable that in business you do have to find what works for both you as a company and for your clients as well, so that you are not pricing yourself out of the market. And just understanding who you are serving and what their needs are is very important. So that is something that certainly we expect that the management team and the board will assess and see how best to increase the profitability, as you mentioned earlier. That is your response now, knowing that you have larger depreciation expenses, knowing that you are expanding, and so that is going to continue increasing. You have to respond with increases in revenue in however way you can. So Jerome is asking, what's the timeline to do the rights issue for the additional money that can be raised on the junior market? And I noticed that he was very intentional in saying right issue and not APO.
Well, Jerome, we have to have use for these funds, first of all. We have a number of projects on the table now. We have completed 1 quarter since the 3 service stations have full service station in operation, along with our franchisee. And we also have another franchise on the table. So currently, we have another service station, the truck stop being constructed, and that's a dealer-owned, dealer-operated. So that's not much capital expenditure for the company. So we won't need any funds. I would don't need to raise any funds for that right now. We have another one on the table coming up shortly with negotiations now, and we will make you aware of that. And if that will require, again, capital expenditure, we will look at the various options, rights issue being one of the priority. And but currently we don't have a timeline for the rights issue because there's nothing that we need to raise funds for right now. What we have on the table, based on the negotiations, and when the negotiations and the agreements are done and completed, then we will know at that point in time what avenue, if we need to do major capital expenditure, what we need to, because our intentions right now is to grow the company across the island and to be very prudent in whatever decisions we make, so the profitability will increase, the revenues will increase, and if we can do so and balance our capital expenditure with that to maximize profits, then that's the route that we'll be taking. If we need to raise capital, definitely rights issue will be one of the priority options that we look at.
All right, and your shareholders have responded, right? Jerome says issue is a bad word.
Okay.
I know we thought it not the curve.
Okay.
And Tavares says rights issue being the priority sounds good. They
Okay.
have spoken. You hear and know what it is that your
Right.
shareholders are
Right.
looking forward to.
Yes, and we always try to listen to our shareholders, you know.
Indeed. So as you spoke about the expansion, you mentioned the truck stop, but there was also mention in a recent report about you winning a bid, and we would have seen on social media that there's another Kingston location. You were asking your shareholders to guess where you're going to be, or guess your audience on social media to guess where else in Kingston you're going to be. So we take it that there's not much that you can say about it as yet, but that is encouraging.
Right. So we still want to keep you anxious and waiting.
Yes.
Just cross our mind this morning that boy, we probably need to soon announce this, but we'll soon announce.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be good. But the timelines, the timeline for the St. Elizabeth one, the truck stop.
Right. So
I believe
that would be 12 months, which construction has begun. So that will be 12 months. I would say 12 months from now we're looking at.
Okay, so next year this time we're looking at at that truck stop being open.
Right, being operated. Yeah.
All right. So the next question is, since your cost of goods sold went up, is it that your costs have increased and have your margins changed?
Okay, Jerry.
Well, the margin, yes, the costs have increased. You know, we have more volumes and all of that, and we have seen some general increase in our trucking costs. But the margin has reduced slightly, not too significant, but it has reduced slightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Jerry. All right, so I think that was pretty clear. So we'll just move to the next question. Are there any one-off expenses that won't appear again in Q2?
Well, we this quarter is a quarter that usually takes a hit with some cash expenses now, and that's regards to our AGM, our annual reporting, just regulatory expenses that would have met for this quarter. Usually means it's considering our year end is December, so our financial year is January to December. So at our year end, we usually find that the quarter following our year end usually take a hit on some cash expenses that you wouldn't see in the second or third, fourth quarter. So yes, there are some expenses. There are a number of one-off expenses for this particular quarter that would have hit the profitability of the company.
Understood. Thank you.
What I need to add also is that what us know is that the management team also know to increase revenue to offset these increased costs that we are seeing. So it's more than ever important that we generate the revenue to absorb these costs that we have that is faced in us.
Understood. Thank you for that. So Jerome had asked about the timelines for the recently announced stations, so that would have been addressed in terms of it being 12 months out for the truck stop and not yet having a timeline for the next Kingston one. So look out for that announcement, right? Jerome, look out for that announcement. It will come. The next question is, how do you plan to clear the bond from GK later on this year?
Okay, so the bond has an automatic renewal of 12 months. However, at our recent board meeting, we had some discussions on that bond and what we have two options that we're looking at now currently. That's as far as I'll go in terms of mention, but we have two options that we're looking at currently to liquidate or to pay out that bond. And so yes, so we have the options of renewing for further 12 months. And this bond was taken for this period because of the consideration or thoughts that we would have begun operations last year, February. So we are behind by 1 year. Mm-hmm. So we have done 1 quarter since Kingston has been operated. So I would say we will see the second quarter, but at the same time, we are still looking at an option to liquidate the bond. 2 options to liquidate the bond currently. So we might enter into for the next 12 months, as well as we might not. We might liquidate otherwise. But you will be informed as to the route that we take, and it's a decision that we'll be making quite soon as to how we approach the bond.
Okay, understood. And that is due in September, I believe, right? So it's not that far away.
No.
So that announcement should come
very soon.
Yeah, fantastic. The next question is, what is the driver of the decreased net profits for Q1? Now, I believe you would have gone into this, Jerry, so you can just reiterate here for the audience.
Okay, a significant portion would have been the depreciation costs. Also, in relation to the lease, there is an interest portion also based on how the regulators issue their accounting policies, how it should be accounted. So there is an interest portion also to the lease, which is significant. That would have hit the bottom line. In addition, we have enhanced increase in security costs. That would have been, significant. We have also a major repair refurbishing at the
filling station.
Crawford, the filling plant, Crawford filling plant. So that would have, I would say that would have been a one-off also, it's refurbishing, so we shouldn't be seeing that come the next quarter. And those are the major factors.
Okay, clear. And the other thing that
we have also staff costs due to the increase in service stations. That's an important one also.
That's right.
We did quite a bit. We spent quite a bit on not renovation, but maintenance at the service stations also. And the filling plant, as Jerry said, we actually did a complete refurbishing of the filling station. So that is also another one-off expense in this quarter.
Understood. Thank you for that. And Lorraine is asking, how has the LPG side of the business been performing? Are there any major updates or changes in the pipeline for that side of the business?
Well, yes. All right. The LPG retail, we have seen, I would say, a significant increase in our retail sales, and that is the household cylinders, the 25 pound, the 100 pound cylinders. Now, for the bulk, we have seen probably a minor reduction in the bulk sales, and this is because of recent company policy that our management team have decided to take. Now, for the bulk, which has to do with hotels, restaurants, bakeries, we have implemented a strict policy on credit, because what we had found out is that we have been, if you look on our receivables, you will see it also. we have been increasing sales in bulk sales, but that increased sales were made up primarily of credit sales, and we have changed our policy now in our credit facilities, and we have got stricter on our credit on our customers in terms of credit. So therefore, we would have seen a minor reduction in the bulk sales of the LPG, and that's primarily because of our policy change. And we hope that we'll see where for the next quarter the receivables would have gone down, and also with regards to bulk sales, and also we would see increased. We are employing strategies now to increase our bulk sales in terms of further marketing to go ahead and increase bulk sales and tighten on our. So what we have a strategy we implement. I don't want to go too much in that, but we have plans to further increase our bulk sales on a stricter credit facility basis. And we have implemented that, and we have seen so far, over the past month, we have seen positive indications for that. Now, for the household and the 25 and 100 pound, yes, we have invested quite a bit over the period. We have been buying containers over the period of cylinders, not because it's a huge capital expenditure to buy a huge lump sum or bulk amount of cylinders, but we've been buying our containers one by one, and by doing this investment in the cylinders, we are seeing the results of these, and customer confidence, customer loyalty, and our product, I can tell you, not being biased, is in high demand across the island. You know what our strategies that we have put in place for our LPG household cylinders have been proven over the past couple of years from prior to IPO. You know, our strategies have been proven successful, and our product, LPG household cylinders, have proven to be in high demand across the island. So we just gradually purchasing our cylinders to satisfy our different locations, and we have been seeing where there has been an increase in our household sales so far. So it's quite encouraging for us to continue doing what we are doing. So as I always say, we allow the LPG household and overall the household primarily to grow organically based on the capital expenditure involved, and we are quite pleased with what we have been seeing so far, and I'm sure it will reflect in our results in quarters to come.
Wonderful. Thank you for that update. I do know that LPG has been something that we always talk about at your earnings calls, AGMs, etc., because LPG is where you started.
Right.
And so it is something that is close to your heart, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
In mentioning that as well, though, we would have learned about the fire that happened close to you, next door to you, and we got an update on that in the FY 2024 earnings call. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with your shareholders about that location, which was the 90 station, right? 90 fuel only station. Anything else that you can share with the audience about that?
Well, currently it's still based on the geographical location and the nature of the fire that took place recently. We are not able to operate as yet, because as recent as even today, we find that based on the nature, it's lubricants like motor oils, engine oils, gear oils, automotive transmission fluids, all that basically we need to clean up. So it forms a hazard, considering we have a service station so close to what has been where the fire occurred, and to the product that was involved, the products that were involved in the fire. So you find that it's a major process, cleaning up process primarily. So we have to be quite certain that we are quite safe to operate. And currently, it is still an ongoing process in terms of cleanups. And because based on how close we are, we cannot afford to take any great chances currently to have to open up, and wouldn't be quite safe for the community right now. So we're still in that process of cleaning up and having the location sterile and safe for us to operate. So that's where we are.
Okay. And do you have any idea of what that timeline is for that cleanup? Because I
It is
take it that's
difficult
not
to
unargued.
assume the timeline because we thought would have been clear with that now. But as I said, as recent as even this week, today, we found occurrences where seepages are it's spreading out across the surface area. So we have to be cleaning, and it's a constant process, based on the
Okay.
nature of the product that is talking about lubricants, So we have to be quite careful with that and have specialized equipment have to come in to remove and to dump at specialized locations, at specific locations. It's not a situation where you just dump it and it has to be dumped in a particular way according to the regulatory
Right.
bodies. And this takes time for inspections and all that.
Absolutely. And that is important because we do want to continue
Right.
to monitor and the environment and do our part to keep it safe. I do
What? Sorry.
recall that that oil from my own days working in oil and gas, 10 years of it,
Yeah.
a big part of the concern was seepage into groundwater. So
Right.
wherever there is seepage that is found,
Right.
that has to be stopped as soon as possible.
Exactly.
So,
And we might have found instances of that in the past. But
right.
what I can further speak to, though, whether I know it's probably a concern to the shareholders, that we have to remember that this location was dispensing one product only. This is where we actually started out with the automotive fuels. However, we basically over the past year, I would say, since Paradise has been open and Negril has been open, we maintain this location primarily on the basis of sentiments, I can tell you, because this is where we started and we wanted to maintain it as a sentimental. So basically, in terms of revenue loss or revenue addition, this location was more of a sentimental. The logics of it is that it's a one product service station, one product being dispensed, and as opposed to a full service station where you have 4 different products being dispensed. No, so we just basically maintain this as a sentimental location. So we find that based on this location also, we have Paradise within a 2-mile radius, 2 to 3 mile radius. We have Negril also, which is about 30 minutes away. And you'll find that traffic traversing these locations on the Paradise side and the Negril side would have come here also because it's a Regency. So would have been sharing our customers per se, which is why you're probably not seeing that change actually in revenue over this time, over this period when it has been closed. So I just wanted to add that to our shareholders, so for their knowledge.
Certainly. And so then the natural question that would follow that is, would you consider closing it altogether since it does not have an impact?
Well, it's something that we're doing some evaluations on now, and we're doing some evaluations on it now to see if it makes sense. So we are looking at what we are doing now and doing some to see if it makes sense to continue our. So we because we want. I mean, at the end of the day, it's the best for the company. Whatever is best for the company, we will do that. And we have to look at all aspects.
Right.
So whatever is best, we have to look at.
Absolutely. And that's a responsible thing to do.
Yeah.
Jerome is asking, is it fair to assume that expansion through gas stations are more a priority than acquiring LPG assets? And he says this because you said that you wouldn't have use for the funds in an equity raise.
Is it fair to assume that expansion through gas stations are more priority than acquiring LPG assets? No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a priority, but it's basically it's. I don't want to say it's easier either, but it's less capital intensive, and we can grow our footprint much easier with our expansions of our service stations. However, based on the response and where we are now for the LPG, very soon we are looking to see if we can do a little more than what we have normally been doing in our LPG investment with regards to household cylinders, because the response, the confidence, the requests from our customers and from just the general industry for the product, it's overwhelming, and we want to satisfy this as best as possible and be profitable. So as I said, it's a lot of capital to invest, but we have to take it in segments. So we're looking at a segment now that we can probably take on with not overly expensive or no high amount of capital, but at the same time we can invest and have a return from this investment that will show profits and increase revenues to the company. So that's where we are right now. So LPG, it just takes a little bit more time for expansion. But in terms of priority, no, we are growing within the industry. So we want to wherever the opportunities come by for the it happens that for now there opportunities come on the table quite often for expansions for us to go in service stations, in gas stations. So that is why it might appear as if priority is being placed on that, but it's just based on the opportunity that comes on our table, and we just don't want it to slip by. We try to address every opportunity immediately, which I think is kind of obvious to what we are seeing with our expansion so quick, in different areas and so forth.
All right, and as you speak about that and the request for the expansion, Lovane, as a shareholder, I mean, she says she strongly believes in supporting the company she invests in, and so she's asking, are there any distributors in Mobe or in the West that side as yet for household LPG? I believe Lovane asked that the last earnings call as well.
Okay, so we have over the past say 4 to 6 months, we have stepped into Hanover more than how we were before. So in the Lucy area, you will see more of Regency product there now than say a year ago. So we are gradually moving towards Montego Bay. We consider Montego Bay the second city, and next in line after Kingston, the corporate area, and Portmore, I would say Montego Bay will be next in line in terms of population and demand for the product. Now, if we are going to approach, we can approach Montego Bay in various different ways, which we might have to do in segments. So yes, it's on the table, but we have to be careful because again, it's a lot of capital expenditure involved, and it's quite risky in terms of losses of cylinders and so forth. So to enter Montego Bay, we require some significant capital investment, whether we're going by segment or by the entire parish of St. James. So it's on the table because a huge market is there, and we have a lot of growth in terms of the LPG, as our market share is quite small, which is good for the company. So we have that room to grow for growth over a period. So that's very good for the company where it is now. You can look forward to that growth by gaining market share as we go along. So yes, for Montego Bay, it's on the table. I cannot tell you when or how soon, but it's definitely being considered.
All right, thank you. Lovane, I must apologize. I think I said she and I meant he, so I do apologize for that. But yes, it's good to hear that there are plans. But I know you have said several times that the LPG expansion is capital intensive, and based on what we would have gone through in this very call about the cash flows and just the state of the finances with expansions right now, we understand that there is that tension, and you have to do the assessments to see what is best. But just know that your shareholders are ready. They're ready to support, and they're waiting for you to come to Mobe, right? And I know that's where Jerry is based. So Jerry, can I
Certainly.
say that, right?
Certainly.
All right, or the final question I'm seeing right now is from Jerome, and audience shareholders, if there are any other questions that you'd like to ask either Jerry or Andrew, please drop them in the chat section now so that they can be addressed before we go. If not, you can drop them in the comments after the call. So for now, the last question is, I've been noticing more and more mobile petroleum filling vehicles. Have you looked into this model as an option?
Well, Jerome, I would dare to say that we were probably one of the first mobile. That was actually our intention when we just started out at Great George Street. Being a mobile filling, a mobile petrol station. Now, what I can tell you, these mobile filling stations, filling vehicles that you are seeing, it is my opinion that they are primarily for diesel, automotive diesel oil. So that you'll find is not as flammable or hazardous. It's very hazardous, but not as hazardous or flammable as 90% of the fuel. So you have one. So what I'm saying, most of these persons are suppliers of these of diesel fuel. So we have looked at it, and currently we have customers right now that we supply on the bulk side that have these diesel fuel, but we supply diesel, these mobile filling vehicles. So we currently have customers that we supply, and they are not. I think we had one or two that were branded up Regency also. So we have two trucks that are owned by, well, not owned by Regency, but branded up, and we are the supplier of diesel to these mobile filling vehicles. I am not quite aware of any doing 90, or because the regulations on the gasoline is a little bit different based on the nature of the fuel. So, but I am aware of the diesel, and yes, we do supply some of these units on the bulk side.
All right. So thank you for that, audience. Thank you, shareholders, for your questions. Thank you so much, Andrew and Jerry. I do have two other things that I want to touch on before we go. One, I would love to hear from both of you. What are your thoughts around the RPL share price as things are right now?
Well, it shows the confidence that and the future that Regency has. It shows the confidence in our investors in the company. It shows the integrity that we display, Regency Petroleum display thus far. And well, that's basically it. Yeah, we are quite pleased with the confidence of our shareholders. I mean, Regency is a growing company. You know, we have a lot of market share to gain in both aspects, and we try to live by what we say in terms of from IPO stage to current. Our intention is to grow the company. It's a Jamaican-owned company. We included our Jamaicans to be owners within the company, and we want to see the company grow. We want, as I say from time to time, we want a win-win situation, you know. So that's why we aim to partner with Jamaicans, and which have been proven fruitful and successful so far. You know, we have inquiries. I get the impression that we are a little dry. This small company is a little driver and encouraging factor to the general business community in Jamaica. People, we notice that companies have developed a certain amount of confidence within themselves, so self-confidence in the company that they can also do it, or they can do this, or they can do that, based on what we have been seeing and the conversations we've been having with other businesses and business people. I get phone calls from not only businesses but organizations. You know that and talking about, I need to return some calls now too. Some organizations that inquire and admire what we have been doing and what we have done over the short period of time, and want to join us in whatever way they can. You know, so it's quite encouraging, and we, as I said, it is reflected in our stock price, in our share price. So I encourage you to continue with the confidence, because I give you our commitment, and I say we at Regency give you our commitment that we have a target set ahead. We want to grow the company, and all that we do in our management team and our board is for the interest of the company and our shareholders. So I can give you that commitment. Whatever decisions are made, whatever operations are being taken place, is for the interest of the company and for the growth of the company, because we have a large room for growth, and we want to be a household name in Jamaica and a multinational overseas also. So follow us and continue with your confidence in the company, because we will aim not to disappoint you. And I can say that confidently, knowing that we have God in the forefront of our decision making process.
Thank you for that. Jerry, what about you as the
Yes,
finance man? How are you feeling about the share price?
I am exceptionally pleased with the growth of the sales price, of the share price. It has consistently, year over year, since we have been listed, we have seen growth consistently year over year. And I am very proud. I see that as confidence also in the company, in us, in the management team, and in our plans. And we don't take it for granted. Invested has invested funds with us, and we want to know that we got that investment dearly, and they are seeing return, and their investment is not a loss-making entity. We want to see growth, and they have experienced it, and I'm sure the shareholders are very pleased to see that year by year they can see their wealth being accumulated. And I want to say that the trust they have put in us, we want to ensure that going forward, we also continue with that growth, and we also want to make sure that all our strategies, all our plans are geared towards a return on their investment, a return to even our customer benefit for all the stakeholders who want them to benefit from the growth of the company, right? And that is a good sign when we look at the share price. That is a good sign. The demand for the share is still strong, and that is pleasing to the management team, and it's very encouraging. And thanks again.
All right, thank you for that. So the general consensus is that the team is pleased with the performance of the stock, and it indicates confidence in the company, which is well earned, right? You have been very consistent and very transparent with your communication, and I believe that the market is responding to that. So thank you again for continuing to share through this medium as an earnings call, and through your timely reporting and everything in between. You have been exemplary indeed on the market. So congratulations on that. And finally, you do have an AGM coming up on the 2nd of June. So I would just like to give you the opportunity to remind the shareholders of that, the format that it will be taking, when and where it will be, and to just close out now, Andrew, with your final remarks if you have anything else to add.
Well, I think most have been said, but just to reiterate a bit, we are on a growth path, and we are focused on our growth. We have our blinds on, and we're just staying on that path. We want to be a household name in Jamaica, and we're heading that way. I'm quite pleased with what we have achieved over this short time, especially this year. We already have one more service station under construction before mid-year, and we have another one that we are looking at to begin construction by year end, the latest, I would say, which we'll soon announce. So that's within itself, I would say it's a huge accomplishment, to have 2 service stations on the way in this year. And we have been seeing growth in our LPG, and just overall, we have been seeing growth. We had some challenges in the first quarter, which again, it's primarily accounting principle that has been applied. Accounting principles have applied. So we have to just acknowledge that and react and respond to that. By continue pressing on, continue working, continue doing what we are doing, continue our strategies, continue expansions. And the beauty about it is that we are on a growth path. There's a huge share out there for us to gain, and we are on the right path in gaining that market share. I'm very pleased with the response from the general public, not only shareholders, But general public who I come into from time to time who will request I want to find out who are not investors, but want to know how they can gain a part of Regency, how they can buy stock. So it's Regency Petroleum seems to be inviting the general public and the persons who are not too familiar with investments and stocks and bonds, stocks and shares, so how to be involved with that. So what I find from time to time is that we have been educating the general public about how they can become an investor, how they can open a stock account and buy stock, just based on what they are seeing with Regency's performance, which is good, which we are quite proud of, to know that we're not only just a listed company on the stock exchange, but we are also proved to be an avenue where we can educate the general public about becoming investors, about being on the stock market, being listed. That's my personal experience, So that is good. And with regards to our existing shareholders, yes, we are happy for the confidence that you have, and we always consider you. So when I see those questions coming in about rights issue, and yes, we consider, we are happy for the confidence that you have within the company and for your enthusiasm about the company. So we will do our best not to disappoint and to also ensure that you are pleased with your investment within the company. And we are happy that you are a part of the company. And in any which way, any industry that you are in, and you want to even want to be a part, as Lorraine said, she is a shareholder and she wants to invest in also have business to do with the company that she's investing in. So I will make careful note of that, Lorraine, and any other investor that would want to even become a part of the company. We invite you to become a part of the company and be involved with the company. It's a Jamaican-owned company. You are owners of the company. You can be a part of the company. And we are open to any negotiations, any conversations where you can be a part of the company. So again, we are on a growth path. The first quarter has been completed since the 3 service stations. We are entered the second quarter now. We're operating, we're implementing our strategies. So we want to see the results of the second quarter so we can know how we move forward in terms of our further expansions and how it will be financed, if it requires or if they require major capital expenditure. All right, so thanks again, everyone.
All right, thank you so much for that, Andrew. Right before we go, Ryan has joined and he has a question. So I do want us to take that since we are still here. And I do want to remind everyone that the RPL AGM is coming up on June 2nd at the Courtney Hotel at 3 p.m. It will be in person only. And so as shareholders, you are invited to participate, to attend in person on June 2nd, to be there in the room with the board and the management team as they discuss what took place in FY 2024 and to hear what the future holds for RPL. Yes, you are here for the earnings calls, but there is more to be heard at the AGM. So we do invite you to join at the Courtney Hotel on June 2nd at 3 p.m. It will not be streamed, but it will be recorded and uploaded to this YouTube channel and also be accessible via the RPL website later on. So let us go ahead with the question from Ryan. And Ryan is asking, has the clarification been sent out about your shares? And I take it that's Andrew, because you were on screen at the time, your shares being used as security for the GK loan.
Yes, the clarification has been sent out. I'm not sure, what avenue or where publications are, if any, has been made as yet, but a clarification has been sent out regards to that to address the issue or what was stated, I think, in some reports, the annual report or a financial statement of shares being held for the GK loan, which is not the case.
Okay, so is there anything that you can say here that you can say here Right.
No, man,
To
it was
clarify.
the title, the property that was held, not the shares. The property was
All
held
right.
as security. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. I do hope that answers your question. And Garfield is asking about tickets. No tickets are required for the AGM. You, as a shareholder, you show up, you register, and the registrar will be at the front to to welcome you and to take in the information necessary, which would be your name and your JCSD number, so that you can be registered as an attendee at the AGM. All right. And as shareholders as well, you, once your email is on record, you would have also received an email and an email reminder about the AGM information. So we do look forward to seeing you there. Thank you once again to you, Andrew and Jerry, for being here and being clear and concise and transparent with your shareholders. We do appreciate the information that is shared here, and the fact that you are very consistent with it. So, with that, we do say thank you to everyone for your presence here, and we do look forward to seeing you at the AGM. Good day.